Excellencies, Ministers of Foreign Affairs, and heads of delegations, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the government of Uganda and the people of Uganda, and indeed on my own behalf, I am pleased to welcome you all to Uganda, and in particular to this ministerial meeting of the 19th Summit of Heads of State and Government of the Non-Aligned Movement. Your presence here, ladies and gentlemen, is an affirmation of the trust and confidence in the leadership of our country to steer the movement in line with the founding principles and promotion of the interests of its membership in a globalized world. I wish to congratulate the Republic of Azerbaijan for its leadership of our movement, especially during the very trying period of the COVID-19 pandemic time. The principle of non-alignment is a constitutional obligation for Uganda and has been a central pillar of our foreign policy. We joined NAM in 1964, only 2 years after independence, due to our conviction about its importance and relevance. I once again welcome you to Uganda and wish you very fruitful deliberations. And indeed, should you find some spare time, please explore Uganda by visiting our freshwater bodies, our game parks, with a wide variety of birds, animals, and plant species, and enjoy our flora and fauna. It is now my singular honor and privilege, Excellencies, to declare this ministerial meeting of the 19th Summit of Heads of State of Non-Aligned Movement officially open. I thank you for your kind attention.
Heads of State and Government of the Non-Aligned Movement, I once again express my gratitude to the government and people of Uganda for graciously hosting the summit of NAM and excellent hospitality extended to all delegations. Before commencing, let me pay tribute to the chair of this preparatory senior officials meeting, Ambassador Adonia Ayobare, whose mastery of the subject, guidance and cooperation greatly facilitated negotiations yesterday and before yesterday on the outcome documents of the 19th NAM summit. And I also thank the member states of the movement for their active deliberations, constructive spirit, and significant contributions to the successful outcomes. I hereby declare the preparatory ministerial meeting of the 19th Summit of the Heads of State and Government open. As per practice, I will start by delivering statement on behalf of the NAM Azerbaijani chairmanship. Madam Vice President, Mr. Minister, Excellencies, distinguished heads of delegations, ladies and gentlemen, throughout its history, NAM has played a fundamental role in strengthening international peace and security and promoting equitable world order. During more than 6 decades of its existence, the member states of the movement have upheld the shared principles and values despite their diverse historical, political, and cultural backgrounds, and have shown ability to find a common ground for actions that lead to mutual cooperation. Currently, the humanity is going through a difficult period where the international security system is grappling with unprecedented set of challenges. Interconnectedness, together with globalization, has multiplied the effects of those challenges and requires concerted, unified, and cooperative responses. At this critical juncture, strengthened unity within and increased effectiveness of the movement is more important than ever. As the second largest international institution after UN, NAM should play a more visible and efficient role and actively participate in reshaping the emerging new world order. Excellencies, it is more than 4 years that Azerbaijan has been proudly chairing the movement. Thanks to the unanimous support by all 120 member states, Azerbaijan took over the chairmanship of the non-aligned movement for 2019-2022 in only 8 years of its membership to the movement. Dear colleagues, now we continue our deliberations by electing the chair of the preparatory ministerial meeting. The host country nominated His Excellency General Odongo Jeje, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Uganda, as the chair of the preparatory ministerial meeting. If there is no objection, I suggest to elect His Excellency General Jeje Odongo by acclamation as the chair of the preparatory ministerial meeting. I didn't see any objection, therefore His Excellency General Odongo Jeje is hereby elected as the chair of the preparatory ministerial meeting of the 19th Summit of NAM. I congratulate you, Excellency, and invite you to take the floor as a chair and wish you successful deliberations.
Your Excellency and Brother Rafiev, Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Azerbaijan, Your Excellencies, Honorable colleague ministers from the NAM member states, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, first, let me on behalf of the government of Uganda and the people of Uganda, and on my own behalf, welcome you to Uganda for the ministerial meeting of the 19th Summit of the Heads of State and Government of the Non-Aligned Movement. I want also, from the very beginning, to thank you all for honoring our invitation. I must, in the same vein, also thank you for your patience and understanding to wait for a whole year for this summit to take place. I am greatly humbled to accept, on behalf of the government of Uganda, election as chair of the ministerial meeting. This would not have been possible without the patience of understanding of my colleagues, the Republic of Azerbaijan. On that note, allow me to thank the Republic of Azerbaijan for successfully completing its chairmanship. A chairmanship, I am sure we all agree, was exemplary, particularly at a time when our organization was faced with great challenges associated with the COVID-19 pandemic. Excellencies, considering the current challenges in the international arena, the objectives and principles of the non-aligned movement remain as relevant today as they were at the time of the formation of our organization. Uganda is committed to and looks forward to working with you all, members, in upholding and protecting these principles. Uganda's chairmanship will be anchored on a vision of a stronger and united NAM that contributes to a better world for all. We shall focus, among other areas, on international peace and security, the fight against terrorism, humanitarian crisis, the Agenda 2030, and Sustainable Development Goals, among other issues. Achieving meaningful results in these and many other areas will no doubt require cooperation and collaboration within our membership and other like-minded partners. I entreat you all, Your Excellencies, to work with Uganda to promote a stronger and united NAM that is cohesive and contributes to a better world for all. This is important to enable our organization to continue to be relevant and influential in decision-making at the international level. Once again, Your Excellencies, thank you for your confidence and trust, and I believe together NAM will remain stronger. I thank you, colleagues, for your attention. Now that I have officially assumed the chairmanship, I think it is time for us to start the business for which we are gathered. And I would like, colleagues, to plead with you that we have a lot of work ahead of us, and that we should try as much as possible to remain within the limits of the times that have been indicated for us to make our interventions. But before we do that, I'd like to take the opportunity to invite the chair of the official meetings to give us a report to which we will then be commenting in our statements. I thank you, colleagues. On that note, let me invite the chair of the officials meeting, Ambassador Adonia Ayebale.
Your Excellencies, Chair, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it was a privilege for me to chair the meeting of the preparatory senior officials that was held on 15th and 16th January 2024. Your Excellencies, allow me to report that the senior officials have reached agreement on the two outcome documents, the final outcome document and the political declaration. In front of you, I would like to sincerely thank my colleagues, ambassadors and senior officials for their constructive participation and cooperation, which made my work easy. Your Excellencies, our work was divided into two committees as per practice of the non-aligned movement, the Political Committee and the Economic and Social Committee. Your Excellencies, during our deliberations, the rules of procedure and established practice of the movement, in line with the provisions of the Cartagena document on the movement's methodology, were applied. As a result, all paragraphs were agreed upon by consensus. Regarding some cases where disagreement arose and persisted, I found it necessary to apply the rules of procedure and occasionally to utilize established negotiation practices of the movement. In some of the situations of disagreement, I presented different compromise proposals with a view of bridging the gaps between different views and positions and endeavored to accommodate the priorities of the delegations on the basis of mutual understanding and respect of views as well as disagreements. Your Excellencies, I thank you for your attention.
Chair of the officials meeting, thank you very much for that report. I would like now to turn attention to ourselves, honorable ministers. And I would like, on that note, to call upon Her Excellency Netumbo Nandi Ndaitwa, the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of International Relations and Cooperation of the Republic of Namibia, to make her remarks. Welcome, Your Excellency.
Thank you, Your Excellency, General Odenga Jeje, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Uganda, and our chair, honorable ministers, heads of delegation, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to extend my appreciation and that of my delegations to the government and the people of Uganda for the home hospitality we enjoyed in Kampala. We welcome, Your Excellency, your elections to serve as the chair of our movement, and we are assured that under your leadership, you will be able to guide our movement and be assured of our cooperation. We also want to thank the outgoing chair, Azerbaijan. Chair, our meeting over the next 2 days, being held under the theme, Deepening Cooperation for Shared Global Affairs, is taking place in a complex global context. In this regard, the fundamental Bandung principle should continue to guide our work and provide clarity for the challenge we continue to face. We must therefore continue to strengthen, advocate for consistent application of the UN Charter, which recognize and promote the sovereignty, equality of all member states, and respect for their territorial integrity. Your Excellencies, the elaboration of the draft final outcome document for the 19th NAM Summit affords us an opportunity to ensure or to reflect on the September 2024 UN Summit of the future in order to guide the NAM position in the negotiation for the summit. This summit will be an opportunity for UN member states to strengthen global commitment towards the attainment of the UN Agenda for Sustainable Development, to address climate change and desertification, to ensure food security, and to realize the decolonization agenda, the reform of the UN system, in particular the Security Council, and the increased participation of women in peace process as articulated by UN Resolution 1325. The Summit of the Future further affords us an opportunity to emphasize the need to maintain the intergovernmental nature of the United Nations, address illicit financial flows, and ensure that specific needs of developing countries, including middle-income countries, are afforded. Namibia, as the co-facilitator of this summit, will definitely benefit greatly from the discussion during this meeting. Your Excellencies, unilateral coercive measures constitute an impediment to the sustainable development of our member state, and we must guard against such practices, including by further strengthening South-South, North-South, and triangle cooperation. Unilateral sanction and suspension of certain countries from multilateral trade organizations, for example, undermine international cooperation and shared prosperity. Your Excellency, at the same time, we must not forget the plight of the people of Palestine and Western Sahara, We therefore reiterate the call for the full implementation of relevant UN and AU decisions, as well as respect of international laws and treaties obligation to realize those rights for self-determination. We call on Israel, a fellow member of the international community, to end its ethnic cleansing military operation, in other words, genocide in Gaza, in order for peace and stability to prevail and to ensure that humanitarian assistance reaches the hundreds of thousands that are injured and also about 2 million who are internally displaced. Chairperson, as I conclude, I wish to thank the senior officials for working on the draft final outcome. Let us adopt the practical and streamline our work to ensure that we recommend consensus draft a final document to our heads of state by focusing on respective themes of our meeting. I further wish to emphasize that the NAM remains relevant in the modern world through a strengthened voice and unified action. We will ensure that we maximize the cooperation of our countries to address the many challenges that face the world today. We continue to draw inspiration from the fundamental principle of our movement, guided by the Bandung spirit of solidarity and unity. Once again, thank you for your kind attention, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for those remarks. I would like now to take this opportunity to call upon Her Excellency Shirley Aikor Bochwe, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration of the Republic of Ghana. Your Excellency, you have the floor.
Your Excellency, Mr. Chair, I think we had notified the Secretariat that the Honorable Minister for Foreign Affairs of Ghana is yet to get her flights in, so she would take the floor tomorrow. And so, with your kind indulgence, we would let the floor be passed on to the next speaker, please.
Thank you, colleague, for that information. We will then move on, and I would like to request Her Excellency Dr. Naledi Pandor Mandisa, Minister of International Relations and Cooperation of the Republic of South Africa.
Excellencies and dear Chairperson, I thank you. Your Excellency, Chairperson, South Africa wishes to congratulate Uganda on hosting this 19th summit of the non-aligned movement. We also congratulate you, Chairperson, on your election as chair of our meeting, and further express our sincere thanks to the government and people of Uganda for the excellent arrangements made and for the hospitality we have enjoyed since our arrival. I am pleased as well, Chairperson, to unusually congratulate you for having 2 women as the first speakers on this list. This is most unusual in Africa, and we thank you. We are also very pleased at the work that has been done by our officials and that they have reached consensus on the outcome documents. Chairperson, South Africa supports the 5 focus areas and priorities of Uganda's chairship of our non-aligned movement. We thank Azerbaijan for the sterling way that they led the movement during the past 3 years of chairing it. This 19th summit comes at a time when the world is faced with multiple and complex challenges. The persistence of conflicts in various parts of the world including on our own continent, Africa, sets back our development goals and reverses our respect and practice of human rights. This summit is therefore an occasion to reflect on our past achievements and to chart a role for our movement to contribute to a more peaceful and prosperous world. South Africa firmly believes that the Bandung principles on which our movement was founded remain relevant today. These include respect for the Charter of the United Nations, respect for the sovereignty and territorial integrity of all states, and the settlement of disputes by peaceful means. These principles have been a guide for my country in its approach to peacemaking and peace building in our region and beyond. Dear Chairperson and Excellencies, it is South Africa's strong view that we cannot achieve a peaceful and prosperous world without reforming the system of global governance to make it relevant to the world of today. As this non-aligned movement, we should continue to advocate strongly for a system of global governance that is fair, equitable, and has the capacity to respond to the needs of all countries and peoples. A system that is not just a tool for the most powerful countries of the world. These reforms include our belief that the United Nations Security Council is in need of urgent reform. After all, it has the unique mandate for the maintenance of international peace and security, and is not of a form that is able to exercise that mandate. We believe the Security Council should be expanded with urgency to include countries from Africa, Asia, and Latin America as permanent members. A reformed system of global governance and a strengthened multilateralism will also allow us to address other major challenges, such as the scourge of terrorism, which today affects all parts of the world. We as South Africa condemn terrorism in all its forms and manifestations. In addressing regional and international security, Chairperson, we should also be resolute in standing for the independence of all oppressed people, including the people of Western Sahara. We should guard against the selective application of international law. There should be universal respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms. Human rights should not be used as a mere instrument of foreign policy by the most powerful states of our globe. We applaud Uganda for identifying the achievement of the 2030 Agenda and the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals as one of the 5 priorities of its chairship of NAM. We are at the halfway mark before 2030 as the international community, and we have made limited progress, with only 12% of the goals on course to be achieved. Collective determination is therefore needed among all states to cooperate to achieve this ambitious development agenda. All states should fulfill their obligations, in particular the rich, developed countries that have made special undertakings in this regard. Chairperson, we cannot ignore or neglect the plight of the people of Palestine. We are witnessing what we as South Africa believe is a genocide of unprecedented proportions. It is for this reason that our country has referred the situation in Palestine to the International Court of Justice, where we seek provisional measures, including ordering Israel to stop its military campaign in Gaza. This also echoes calls made by many governments and peoples all over the world for an immediate comprehensive ceasefire and unhindered humanitarian access for the people of Gaza. We also call for the release of hostages held by Hamas. South Africa urges the international community to support with practical measures the establishment of a two-state within the Middle East, with Palestine and Israel living side by side in peace and security. This two-state to be based on the 1967 borders. It is our historic duty of international solidarity for us as the non-aligned movement to play a leading role in this matter. In conclusion, Chairperson, the billions of people that we represent here today, especially our young people, expect us to project a unified voice and act together in the advancement and defense of the collective interests of the global South. Whatever we do within NAM and at the United Nations should always guarantee our people peace, security, prosperity, and development. They expect our cooperation and solidarity to result in practical, positive change that improves their material conditions. We also need to continue to forge partnerships based on mutual respect with those outside our movement as part of our commitment as NAM to build a better world, one which works equally for all. I thank you, Chairperson and Excellencies, for your attention.